What is going on, everybody? Welcome to February 1st. We're here to react to all the latest, greatest action around the NHL over the weekend. This is the original, hardest working, most accurate, most entertaining NHL sports gambling podcast on YouTube. My name is Pat Stuthers, your host and commentator. I'm going to discuss all the games from the weekend, reactions, latest news, and talk about predictions for Monday and Tuesday night. Following this video, I'm immediately going to have another video breaking down Connor McDavid's goal against the Toronto Maple Leafs, where he basically went through the entire team like a punt returner. So please make sure to check that out. Also, if you're watching this, please make sure to like and subscribe. I need subscribers and likes. Thank you all. I appreciate it so much. Thank you. So let's get into the results. How did I do over this past weekend? Well, I actually went 13-8. That's a pretty damn good record if I say so myself. That brings me to an overall record of 82-51 overall, so that's a nice 61 percentage. I've gotten through most of my life on 61%. Staying hot, I also had a 9-leg parlay that almost hit, except for Les Habitants, who did not. They laid an egg against the Calgary Flames. It was a 1-0 game, and they lost 2-0 ultimately. If the Habs had won that, I would have won about $200. So that sucked, but hey, that's the way she goes. So let's get right into ATODASO. All the things that happened that I said would happen. Number one, my lock of the week is 1-for-1. The Boston Bruins and the Washington Capitals went over. The Washington Capitals almost always go over. That's a good bet to make when the Capitals are playing hockey. Another thing I told you, the Minnesota Wild are pretty good. They beat the Colorado Avalanche, and they look good doing it. They're a deep team, better than they have been in previous years. The other thing I told you was all those stay-away games. We had a bunch of games go to overtime this weekend, and that's because all the teams are just very closely contested. There's very little difference between the worst team and the best team, and there's tons of parity in the NHL. Chicago Blackhawks are still hanging in there with some wins somehow. Let's talk about some of the most electric moments from this weekend. Well, there was Joel Farabee, who got a hat trick for the Philadelphia. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. They're the most electric players in the league right now. They put up 6 and 5 points on Sunday. McDavid dominated in the first game. They're unstoppable, these two, when they play against bad teams. When they play against good teams and they're held off the board, they tend to lose. What amazes me is that the Oilers put up 8 goals and still allowed 5. Would anybody be talking about this game if they won 3-0 over the Senators? Probably not. What were some of the most devastating moments? Well, as I mentioned earlier, the Montreal Canadiens let me down in a big way. I had a 9-leg parlay that hit every leg except for the Montreal Canadiens. That hurts. And then I also had 2 other more reasonable parlays that I actually expected to hit that didn't hit because they couldn't score 1 goal, and that's in that game. Against the Flames. The Flames aren't even that good. I would make that bet again. All the expected goals for went for the Habs. I just lost, and it's always one. It's always one. So what did we learn over the weekend? The Carolina Hurricanes are also for real. Last week, they faced the Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning, and then the Stanley Cup runner-up Dallas Stars twice, and they took 5 out of 6 possible points against those teams. Carolina Hurricanes are getting to that upper echelon of being one of the best teams in the league. They're quietly doing it. I'm saying it. I'm the first one saying it. Watch out for the Hurricanes. Bunch of jerks. Another thing we learned after the McDavid goal went viral is that a lot of people have a lot of disrespect for the game of hockey. Now, I grew up in Toronto, Ontario, the greater Toronto area, so hockey's always been a way of life. Everyone at school would talk about it. My dad would watch it on TV all the time. It's a big deal. My whole family would watch it. But when hockey sometimes leaks into the American hemisphere of the internet, the football hemisphere or the baseball hemisphere, hockey gets looked down upon as not a real sport. People are unaware of what's going on with the ice. They have trouble following the puck. Part of the reason is that there's no personality, and it's kind of getting boring. I think hockey's been clutching to this old school way of thinking for a long time, sort of through the broadcasting and everything from the top down. I think this started because of the Summit Series and the whole Cold War thing, but we're way past that now. I think hockey should start being more fun again. We got to find a way to make hockey better for everyone, because the game actually does grow when you have more people with the opportunity who get better chances to become better athletes and grow the game. That's what we need, and that's what I want to see. When you see a goal like what Connor McDavid did the other night, they don't realize how hard it was because it looks easy to him, but it's similar to a running back returning a punt all the way for a touchdown. I'm going to break down that goal in the next video because a lot went into it. All right, so with all that out of the way, let's get into our stay-away games for the next couple of days. That is Monday and Tuesday night. We have a few good matchups here, and there's quite a few games that I'm actually going to play, but I'll tell you which ones to not touch right now. Starting on Monday night, I am going to get rid of the Canucks and the Canadiens because the Canucks have been playing really well, and maybe this is the start of the fall of the Montreal Canadiens after their hot start. Both teams are on different trajectories. That's why I don't want to touch this game. I'm going to stay away from Calgary and Winnipeg because these teams are not playing great, and I'm not sure which one is going to come out on top, or if they'll score, or if they won't score. And obviously the Vegas Golden Knights and San Jose Sharks is postponed, so I'm staying away from that game tonight. Now on Tuesday, you have the Sabres and the Islanders. And the Islanders have actually been on a bit of a skid recently, and the Sabres have been playing okay. Normally, I would take the Islanders. I think they're a much better team, and they're better coached, but I would just stay away from this one. The Devils in Pittsburgh, you could potentially play the over, but it's dangerous. I think both of these teams are very similar. They have high-scoring offense threats. They don't have much defense, and the goaltending is a flip of the coin. This is a bit of a stay-away game. Maybe take the over. For the second Canucks and Canadiens game, definitely see how the first game goes. If the Canadiens are dominating, limiting chances for the Canucks, as they have in previous games this season, it's possible the Canadiens just have the Canucks number and they're going to win every single time. So the Canucks have been playing better, but if the Canadiens look good in game 1, I'm taking the Canadiens again in game 2, whether they win or lose. And stay away from this Ducks and Kings game. I don't even know what these teams. I really don't know. They're playing well, but they're not good. So I don't know. It's a toss-up. Now with all that out of the way, let's get into our predictions for the remaining games. Beginning with the Pittsburgh Penguins as -103 favorites against the New York Rangers as slight underdogs at -107. When these teams played on Saturday, it was a high-scoring affair. I expect to be more of the same. They have a lot of offensive weapons and not much defense or goaltending. So if I was going to take anything in this game, definitely take the over. If I was going to lean on a team, the Pittsburgh Penguins probably. Up next, you have the Boston Bruins as -145 favorites against the Washington Capitals as +125 underdogs. These are two powerhouse teams. I think the Bruins are very good, and that's why watching the Capitals beat them the other day was so impressive, and they're still so good. They won the first game against Boston. It's possible Boston splits the series. I would stay away, but I'm taking the over in that game once again. Up next, you have the Nashville Predators as +155 underdogs against the Tampa Bay Lightning as -175 favorites. There were some stats before the last game about how the Nashville Predators have success in Tampa, but then they lost that game. It's possible Nashville steals one and splits the series, but Tampa's just a good team, so it's always a good idea to bet on them. In the first game between the Canucks and the Habs, the Canucks are +140 underdogs, and the Habs are -160 favorites. The Habs were really riding high there for a minute, and the Canucks have really been playing well, especially since dominating the Ottawa Senators. I'm going to stay away from this game. I don't know if it's going to go over or under. I don't know who's going to win. It's total stay away. I will take the second game if the Habs look good in the first game. I'll take them in the second game because I think they might just have the Canucks number. Now, on Tuesday night, I'm going to take Dallas against the Blue Jackets. Blue Jackets are reeling right now, and Dallas are really good. Dallas also just lost, so I would expect them to bounce back and win. -112 favorites. I'm going to take the Stars. The schedule might catch up to them when they start playing too many games in a row, but for now, they're still good. Second game between the Canucks and the Habs, as I mentioned, I'm going to take the Habs if they look good in the first game. If they don't look good, stay away from the second game. Carolina and Chicago. I think Carolina is one of the best teams in the league. I think Chicago's one of the worst teams in the league. They just got to win somehow. It screwed over one of my bets, but I don't think they're going to beat the Carolina Hurricanes, so I'm going to take them in this one. St. Louis and Arizona. Arizona's a scrappy little team. They got a bunch of young guys, Dvorak, Keller, Garland. They fight hard. They work hard, but they're missing Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and the Blues are still really good. They're just a tight-checking team, hard-working. They hit hard. They're big. And I'm going to take the Blues in this one. They look pretty good against the Ducks. Colorado, Minnesota. This is a tough one. I don't know. I liked Minnesota. I actually had them as a double chance to make it to overtime against the Colorado Avalanche because the Minnesota Wild have taken a step forward. They're really good. The Avs are missing some key guys, and they had a third-string goalie in net. Frank Kuz is out, and Grubauer has just been playing nonstop. I'd stay away from this game. But I want to take the Avs. I really do want to take the Avs because they just lost. That team doesn't lose back-to-backs often. They really don't. And the last game, you got the Edmonton Oilers against the Ottawa Senators, a rematch of the absolute shellacking from the last game. I had a prop bet last game of McDavid to score and Draisaitl to score. Draisaitl did not score. So it's been 2 games without a goal for Draisaitl, so I would think he does score in this game. That would be my bet. Oilers probably going to win. Oilers probably going to win by at least 1.5. Or if you want to play it safe, take the Oilers in regulation. But they are a lock. Okay, so let's get to our official picks for the next couple of days, who I think is going to win in every single matchup. Starting on Monday night, I would take the Penguins, but I would take the over. I would take the Capitals, but I would take the over. I'd take the Lightning over the Predators. I'd probably lean towards the Canucks, but I would take the over in that game. And I think the Jets will beat the Flames. Now, on Tuesday night, the Islanders have been on a slide, so I'm going to take the Islanders to beat the Sabres. Penguins, Stars, Habs, Canes, Blues. Jets, Avalanche, Ducks, Oilers. Now my official bets for tonight, the ones that I'm going to lock in. When I win, you win. When you lose, I lose. I am going to take the Rangers and the Penguins over. I'm also going to take the Capitals and the Bruins over. I'm ended up parlaying both of those picks with the teams, thinking Pittsburgh and Capitals would win. That's riskier, but it will increase your money. If you're feeling bold, do it. I highly recommend it. I hit 2 games like that yesterday. It felt great. Now on Tuesday, this is where it gets tricky. The Montreal Canadiens look good against the Canucks. If it's a close game, low chances, I'm taking the Canadiens to win the second game. If they get blown out, I'm staying away completely. But on Tuesday, I'm going to take Dallas against Columbus Blue Jackets, the Hurricanes against the Blackhawks, the Blues against the Coyotes, and the Oilers against the Sens. I might parlay 2 or 3 of those teams together. So that's it for me. That's what I think. Everything from the exciting weekend of hockey, the Edmonton McDraisaitls lighting up the league, the news, the latest predictions, everything you need to know for the next 2 days. Coming up in a few minutes, I will have a breakdown of the Connor McDavid goal against the Toronto Maple Leafs where he went end to end. Please check it out. Please share it. Please like and subscribe. Please tell your friends. Thank you everyone for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think, what bets you like, what bets you hate, what bets you win on. I will see you on Wednesday. Cheers.